Welcome to the Folktale Project. This is Dan Scholes. Today we're continuing with our second story from North America, and this story comes from Katharine Judson's Myths and Legends of the Great Plains, where Judson has collected a number of tales from the Native American peoples across the Great Plains. It's a really wonderful book, especially for examining stories as we do here, by looking at where they come from and seeing similarities in tales. This story comes from the Omaha Nation, and it is an origin, the legend of the peace pipes. The people came across a great water on logs tied together. They pitched their tents on the shore. Then they thought to make for themselves certain bounds, within which they were to live, and rules which should govern them. They cleared a space of grass and weeds so they could see each other's faces. They sat down, and there was no obstruction between them. While they were holding a council, an owl hooted in the trees nearby. The leader said, "That bird is to take part in our council. He calls to us, he offers us his aid." Immediately afterward they heard a woodpecker. He knocked against the trees. The leader said, "That bird calls to us. He offers us his aid. He will take part in our council." Then the chief appointed a man as servant. He said, "Go into the woods and get an ash sapling." The servant came back with a sapling having a rough bark. "We do not want that," said the leader. "Go again, and get a sapling with a smooth bark, bluish in color at the joint where a branch comes." So the servant went out, and came back with a sapling of the kind described. When the leader took up the sapling, an eagle came and soared about the council which was sitting in the grass. He dropped a downy feather. It fell. It fell in the center of the cleared space. Now this was the white eagle. The chief said, "This is not what we want." So the white eagle passed on. Then the bald eagle came swooping down as though attacking its prey. It balanced itself on its wings directly over the cleared space. It uttered fierce cries. It dropped one of its downy feathers, which stood on the ground as the other eagle's feather had done. The chief said, "This is not what we want." So the bald eagle passed on. Then came the spotted eagle, soared over the council, and dropped its feather as the others had done. The chief said, "This is not what we want." And the spotted eagle passed on. Then the imperial eagle, the eagle with the fantail, came and soared over the people. It dropped a downy feather, which stood upright in the center of the cleared space. The chief said, "This is what we want." So the feathers of this eagle were used in making the peace pipes, together with the feathers of the owl and woodpecker, and with other things. These peace pipes were to be used in forming friendly relations with other tribes. When the peace pipes were made, 7 other pipes were made for keeping peace within the tribe. One pipe was to prevent revenge. If one man should kill another, the chief took this pipe to the relatives and offered it to them. If the relatives of the dead man refused to accept it, it was offered again. It was offered 4 times. If it was refused 4 times, the chief said, "Well, you must take the consequences. We will do nothing, and you cannot now ask to see the pipes." He meant that if they took revenge and any trouble came to them, they could not ask for help or for mercy. Each band had its own pipe. And that is the Omaha legend of the peace pipes, where we see the origin of the peace pipe. That thing that is real and is a real thing, but has so often been dramatized and appropriated. And it's really interesting and good to see this origin coming from the Omaha Nation itself. This is Dan Scholes for the Folktale Project. Don't forget that you can subscribe to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, Overcast, anywhere you like to get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter at Folktale Project. You can find us on Auto Radio, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you like to listen. And you can always head over to folktaleproject.com, where you'll find a new story waiting for you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Don't forget that if you'd like to help support the podcast, you can head over to patreon.com/folktaleproject, where for as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to every story told. And through the end of this month, if you become or are one of our supporters, one of our patrons, there's a special treat going out just for you. As always, thank you so much for listening.